Seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, is a type of depression that relates to changes in seasons. SAD begins and ends at the same time every year. If you're like most people with SAD, your symptoms start in the fall and continue into the winter months. Snapping your energy, making you feel moody. Less often, SAD causes depression in the spring or early summer. Treatment for SAD may include light therapy, medications, and psychotherapy. Don't brush this off as a yearly feeling as a simple case of the winter blues or as a seasonal funk that you get through. Take steps to keep your mood and motivation steady throughout the year. Now, the reason I started off reading that is that's what this live stream is about. Seasonal affective disorder, or the acronym SAD, works just as well. I have suffered with this in the past, and I'm sure a lot of you probably have as well. And there are a lot of reasons for it. The days being shorter, mainly because of daylight savings time. The weather being cold, not able to be outside as much. That way how can I say this? That's because we're not soaking up the vitamin D from the sun like we need to. And a lot of that has to do with our moods as well. Now, some of the symptoms of this are feeling depressed most of the day, nearly every day, losing interest in activities you once enjoyed, having low energy, having problems with sleeping. Now, the sleeping thing used to be an issue for me because throughout the day, I was just so down and depressed. That's all I wanted to do was sit and do nothing. And I kind of napped throughout the day. So come 10 or 11 o'clock when I usually go to bed, I was not tired, so I wouldn't sleep that well. Feeling sluggish or agitated happened to me. Having difficulty concentrating, a lot of that has to do with the lack of sleep. Feeling hopeless, worthless, or guilty, again, depression, and then having frequent thoughts of death or suicide. Now, I don't usually get that morbid on the channel, but it can happen. And I want to talk a little bit about that. And you guys can hone in. I hope you guys have some stories about that because that is a big, big problem this time of year. And another thing that doesn't help is it's been extremely rainy this time of year, at least in our area. I know in your area it might be snow, depending on how far north you are. And that even makes the situation worse because the few good hours of daylight that we do have, if it rains, that kind of ruins even those few hours that we would have. I know today it was raining. It was cloudy for most of the day. And then it started raining about 3, and there was a couple hours of daylight gone there because the clouds came in, and it got really, really dark quickly. And boy, I just started not feeling myself today, and that is basically what seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, is. So let's go to the chats and see what everybody else is saying. Eric Brunhammer says, sounds like working the night shift. And it's funny you should say that because I've talked to a lot of people that have worked the night shift, and they kind of say it's the same type of deal with the seasonal affective disorder. Basically, your body just doesn't get acclimated to the new routine. Cameron Cloud says over 27,000 lightning strikes here in New Zealand last night. Wow, we're nothing like that. I mean, we're having some rain issues here. We may have a thunderstorm or two, but that's kind of crazy. That's a lot of lightning strikes. How many videos do I have? Yeah, it's somewhere around 1,500. I think like 1,470, 1,480, something like that. I'd have to look it up to know for sure. Wow, 16 watchers. I'm glad you guys are here to see this because there's a lot of good information going to be coming out in this video. Now, when it comes to the treatment for this, a lot of it has to do with you. It depends on what works best for you. You can always go to the doctor, and they'll want to put you on these mood-altering drugs for anxiety, depression, and some people do need those, but those in and of themselves can carry some weird side effects. I remember getting on Zoloft, years ago, and that actually drove me loopy. I mean, I literally got into the hospital. I thought I was dying. I thought I was having a heart attack. I thought that I didn't even know what I was thinking. I was just kind of out of my mind. So you have to be very careful with those kind of drugs. I am not a proponent of taking a drug unless you absolutely have to do it. A lot better things are, like they said here, light therapy. In other words, going into places where there's daylight. I mean, heck, you can even get yourself daylight LED bulbs like I have here, which will basically mimic daylight indoors. And of course, another problem is a lot of us this time of year, to try to save on energy, especially in years past before we had LED bulbs, would keep the lights off and maybe just have the glow of the TV or maybe the glow of a fire. And that's great, but that doesn't do anything to help your moods because you're not getting any type of benefit from that. You're not getting the vitamins from the natural light. And there are lights out there, believe it or not, that'll actually mimic and they'll act on your body like natural sunlight does, help you get that vitamin D. And that actually brings me into the next sub segue here is you can actually get the supplements. Like I take vitamin D, vitamin E supplements, multivitamins. You can even take the vitamin D complex, which has all the different variants of it. And if you up that dose during the wintertime, that might even help your seasonal affective disorder. I-386 says, New Zealand, it's summertime right now. It would be fun to have Christmas in summertime. 2 years ago, it was 80 degrees. Yeah, that would be interesting. We actually go more with when we believe Jesus Christ was actually born. We actually, it's kind of a common belief that he was born during the summer, not during the wintertime, not on December 25th like we celebrate it. The idea of that being they wanted to have a Christian holiday to compete with the Saturnalia, which is that pagan holiday, which fell around the same time. So that's why they made Christmas in December. And again, it's just a representation. They never said that Jesus Christ was actually born on that date. Again, we don't, at least in my church, we don't believe that he was. Cameron Cloud says, summer Christmas is amazing here. Nothing beats hitting the beach on Christmas Day. Oh, what a great day that would be. Can you imagine getting a little portable Christmas tree, maybe bringing your presents with you and opening up your presents on the beach on Christmas Day? We'd never be able to do that here, unfortunately. Elizabeth Laforte says, hey, Matt, it's been a long time. Hope you and your family are doing well. Keeping our son's godfather, Eddie, in your prayers. He's been in the hospital for about 2 months now. We will do that. And yes, we're doing just fine. Had a great day today. Took the LeSabre out. Mom and I did some shopping. We went to Pizza Hut today. We did the Pizza Hut buffet for lunch. So I haven't eaten anything since about 1:30 this afternoon. My stomach's rumbling, but because I'm actually going out to breakfast tomorrow morning, I vowed that I'm not eating anything else tonight. And yeah, so that's where that goes. 19 watchers and only 1 like. Come on, help me out with some likes here. I know some of you guys, at least some of you guys are liking this video by now. Do you know that I had 2 dislikes before I even started this? It amazes me people are going to dislike a video that hasn't even happened yet. I can't believe YouTube hasn't fixed that. You know, they shouldn't allow people to dislike an upcoming video, especially a live stream. You know, they should say, okay, you can only do a like or a dislike when the live stream is actually started. Andrea Mallory says, hey, Matt, can you please do a video using your new air fryer? Yes, but it's probably not going to be till after Christmas. The kitchen right now is a total mess. I'm actually trying to finish filming this Linzer Tort cooking video that Mom and I have been doing. This is day 2, which as soon as I'm done, believe it or not, as soon as I'm done with this live stream, I need to go down there and actually film the second portion of that. But yes, I will keep that in mind. I will try to do a video on that as soon as I can. I-386 says they stopped the Pizza Hut buffet at our Pizza Hut. Most of the ones in my area, too. As a matter of fact, the 2 Pizza Huts right around my house both stopped doing it. One about 5 years ago, and then the other one about a year ago. And they actually tore that Pizza Hut down. The only one remotely close to my area that does it is Portsmouth, and that's about a 15-minute drive. And it's worth it to go there every once in a while because they really have some good pizza on there. Today they had the thin crust cheese pizza, which is my favorite. They had the regular crust chicken, and what they do is it's really a good idea. They do half chicken and half sausage, so people like sausage can get the sausage, people like the chicken can get the chicken. And then they have the pasta, just the regular pasta with the marinara sauce. They had meat lovers pizza. They had the veggie pizza, and then they have the salad bar. It's actually a very, very good deal. I think it's still only $6.89 all you can eat. So you get out of there, if you drink water, you get out of there under $10, after the tip. And it's a really good deal. And of course, this time of year when you're eating out, keep in mind your servers work extremely hard to get your food out and to keep your drinks refilled and keep napkins on the table. So especially this time of year, be generous with your tip. I mean, if your server is genuinely bad, then no, don't tip. A tip is just that. It's a gratuity for a job well done. And if they do a good job this time of year, give them an extra couple of dollars. They really deserve it. Cameron Cloud, can someone please make a Matt Emroy Facebook group we can all join to discuss the streams? Well, I actually have one, the Matt Emroy fans page. I think I shared that last time. Let me see if I can find that. I'll share the link so you guys can like that if you want. But I also have my regular Facebook page. You guys can share your thoughts on that as well. Chris Bartlett says, we don't tip in Australia. We're a poor country. Well, it's interesting because tipping out of the U.S. is very uncommon. It's kind of an American thing. I've heard in Europe and pretty much parts of Asia, Africa, I mean, they just don't do it. But if you come to the United States and Canada, basically North America, then yes, tipping is almost a must. I-36 says, I always tip because sometimes it is the help in the kitchen that messes up. Yeah, it is. But there are times that you can tell when your waiter I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say server because that's going to blanket men and women. There are times you can tell when your server is at fault, and believe me, it has happened quite a bit. I remember one time I was at our local IHOP, and we had a waiter there, and it was a waiter because it was a guy. My friend and I got there, I think it was probably 10 or 11 at night. We used to eat late back then. It was right out of high school. And the server came there. He said, what do you want? Like, what do you want? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have Philly cheesesteak. My buddy's going to have a burger. And I think we got milkshakes. He's like, oh, okay. So he takes our order. It takes forever to bring our food. Well, I should start off by saying, generally they'll bring the milkshakes within a few minutes. It took them about 20 minutes to bring the milkshakes. And then it took about another 30 minutes for us to get our food. And I actually saw that our food was sitting on the warmers for about 10 or 15 minutes. And the guy was you could see the guy was sitting there, was leaning against the counter, talking to his buddy. We kept waving to him, and he saw us, and he did one of these things. So, we had a huge issue with this guy, and this guy had the worst attitude. So on the way out, we didn't give him a tip. I mean, we didn't tip him at all because we knew he was a loser. I'm sorry, he was. And I kid you not, as we were leaving, the guy comes behind us, taps me on the shoulder and says, I think you forgot something. And I'm like, what? He goes, my tip. And I'm like, you're not getting a tip. And he's like, why? I'm like, okay, you were not attentive. You had a bad attitude, and it was just overall bad service. And the guy was like, oh, okay, bye. And I was like, man, if you're a waiter or if you're a server, you have to have some type of good personality. And this person, I'm sure he didn't last long because after that day, the next time we came back, I think it was about a week later, and he was gone. I mean, he was just out of there. You could tell that he wasn't going to last long in that job. George Blakely said, when I went out to Golden Corral, the server was really nice, so she got a tip. That's good. Yeah, like I said, if the server is good, the server is attentive, the server keeps your drinks filled, then yeah, they should definitely get a tip. Eric Brunhammer says, I have to take a lot of Prilosec before I eat Pizza Hut. Otherwise, I pay for it because it doesn't happen at 90% of other pizza places. Interesting. I wonder what they put in there that gets you going. Maybe it's the butter, because I notice that Pizza Hut uses a lot of butter in their crust, and I know that butter can get my heartburn going sometimes. Flips May is here, says hello. I386 says, Matt, you should have given that guy a penny. Yeah, in hindsight, I probably should have. That would have been a bigger insult than not giving him anything at all. Wow. Well, I'll give you guys a quick update while we're waiting for some more comments to come in about the Buick, the LeSabre. She's doing great. We took it out all day today. It's running great. I have a few things I need to do. I actually went and replaced the high beam light bulb in there, which is not very hard on that. In that vehicle, you literally open up the hood and the wire's right behind you. You just reach behind there, you twist the socket, it pulls out, and then there's a little clip you have to pull off, and then the bulb pulls out with the whole with the base. And I went into Advance, and I think it was like $16, and I just got a replacement. So I've done that. So far on the LeSabre, I've replaced the high beams, did the oil change. We lubed the windows so they're working properly now. Dad and I did that the other day. Now, the next thing is going to be replacing the headlight switch. I'm going to try to get that on the vlog. Hopefully, I don't forget to do that. But other than that, she's a great little runner. I can't get over for the price I paid for that thing. This thing runs and drives like brand new. I think I am going to have this for a long, long time. Should be Eric Brunhammer said should be a 9005 bulb. I believe it was. It was a Sylvania bulb, but since I went to Advance, I can't remember honestly what the replacement was. It was some off-brand, and I probably should have went to AutoZone, but I was just closest to Advance, and I figured for a light bulb probably really wouldn't matter. But I am not a big fan of Advance Auto Parts. I think they tend to use their parts tend to be subpar quality. I remember years ago, my dad picked up an oil pump for a friend's, I think it was an 87 Crown Victoria, and the oil pump that he picked up wound up being defective. Luckily, he caught it in time, went back, returned it, got another one, and that one wound up being defective. They may have changed in recent years, but I generally do not trust Advanced Auto Parts quality. Nick asks, what happened to the PT Cruiser? Somebody who hasn't heard the story about the PT Cruiser. I'll give you the abridged version. It turned out that it had some underbody frame rot that I did not see, that neither Dad or I saw when we had it up on the lift. And my mechanic advised me to get rid of it, which I did. I actually listed it for sale for $1,200 on Craigslist because I knew somebody'd want it. And I wound up selling it the next day for a considerably less than that. Let's put it that way. And it was a fair price what they paid. And the thing about it was that it wasn't that bad. Like it was good for another 2, 3, 4 years at least. But I couldn't ask my mechanic to do any more work on it because I had to take his advice. If not, it would be kind of insulting him. So it worked out well in the end. I wound up selling it and getting the Buick, and I'm very happy with that Buick. I386 says, I bet that Buick was one that was made in America. It probably was, either that or Canada. They were good cars then, but I think my Dodge Ram is made in Michigan. I'd have to look. I could look it up by the VIN to see where it was actually made. I don't have that information on me right now, but probably was made, it might have been in Detroit, actually. So I'd have to take a look at that. Mine's a 2000 custom, so it was the first year of that design. And man, she's a good little runner. Chris Bartlett wants to know how much the haircut was. For me, it was $15 plus the $5 tip, so it cost me $20. I don't know how much it was for mom. I know it was a little bit more, but you guys would have to ask her about that. Nick says, I just bought a 99 Mustang GT for next to nothing. That could be a cool, fun little car. Flips May says, do a full restoration on the Buick, buff the paint, wax it, and clean the inside. Um, Probably will. The believe it or not, the paint was just actually waxed. It doesn't even need to be buffed. It's not fading at all. And the way I could tell that it was waxed is when I put it through the car wash, you could see the beads of water. You can see the water beading up on the hood. And that's the thing. I mean, it just doesn't really need any cleaning. This is one of the cleanest used cars I've ever seen. Now, maybe next year after the winter, it'll probably need a good waxing. I could probably do it then. Chris Barlow says, no cars are made in Australia. Now, that's a lot for a haircut. It's 20 here. It's not really that bad, to be honest with you. Some places will charge 25 or 30 for a guy's haircut. Now, granted, it was $15, but again, I gave this person a decent tip because she did a very good job. Zachary Smith says, cut your own hair and save $20. I do sometimes. Problem today was it was raining and I just wanted to get the haircut done. And I like to treat myself. I enjoy going there. I like having people cut my hair. I like being able to chat. So, and of course, you got to remember something. We live in a capitalist society. You got to spread the money around a little bit. You don't want to be stingy. Now, yeah, there are things you can do at home, and I consider myself a pretty frugal person. But at the end of the day, if I can push some money someone's way, I like to do that. That's just the kind of person that I am. Australia, I-36, Australia should get some factories. The population is not like the US, but I think it would be good. Yeah, absolutely. And Trump is bringing a lot of blue collar jobs back to our country now, especially in the Midwest, a lot of manufacturing, and that is a good thing because for the many years now, there hasn't been a lot of work for blue collar people. People that didn't want to go to college, and people. College is not for everybody. I did get an associate's degree, but beyond that, I realized college was not for me. So a lot of my jobs have been blue collar jobs, and the ones I've had, for the most part, I've enjoyed. What is it they said that some of the happiest people? This was actually from Bruce Almighty. Morgan Freeman said some of the happiest people in the world come home at the end of the day stinking to high heavens. And that's true, because just because you have a high-end career doing something that makes you a lot of money doesn't mean that you're happy. And unfortunately, a lot of those people aren't happy. Flips May says, thank you for being positive about our president. You're quite welcome. And I've actually expressed my views on our president, President Trump. And you may disagree with me, but that's the way I feel. I think he's doing a very good job. Yes, Chris, I do know that the government gives a lot of tax incentives to the car manufacturers. I don't think it's actually a fair thing, to be honest with you. They bailed out GM, and I think they bailed out Ford. I think they bailed out all of them at one point, but I know they did GM for sure. And it's not right, because that's not what a capitalist society is. A capitalist society is everybody fights. They do their best they can to stay in business. And if a company runs itself into the ground, the company should just go out of business. I mean, that's really the way it works. And unfortunately, when the government gets in there and gives these companies millions and billions of dollars, it's just saying, hey, look, it's basically telling them, hey, look, we know you screwed up. but you're an American institution and we want to make sure you stay around. And I really don't think that's fair. Chris Bartlett says, best president ever. Yeah, there are definitely differing opinions on it. I think he's done a very good job. Best president ever? I don't know if I would go that far. Cameron Cloud says, New Zealand has a woman as a prime minister. Yeah, England too has had a couple of them. It would be nice to see the first female president in the United States. And I truly think I might see that in my lifetime. We've had the first black president, President Obama, but we've not had a female president yet. I don't know. Eric Brunhammer says, a lot of people are blaming him for GM closing 5 plants. It is the fact that they have been rebadging Koreans blank, blank, blank for a decade that nobody wants. That's true. It has nothing to do with that. From what I understand, and I'm not an expert on this, but I will tell you from what I understand, a lot of the reason GM is closing plants in the U.S., money. Those cars, they figured, can be built a lot cheaper overseas, i.e. Korea, China, Japan. And for the most part, that's true. But, a lot of people buy American cars because they're made in America. And you're going to lose a lot of your fan base. You're going to lose a lot of your customers when they figure out that, heck, they're not being built here anymore. They're being built overseas. When that becomes true, heck, I might as well buy a Toyota or a Honda or a Fiat for that matter. No, I would probably never buy a Fiat, but you guys get the idea. Deputy Daniel Quimby, I like that name. This is the greatest thing about the United States of America. We all have the right to free speech, and we can disagree with each other but still be friends. Absolutely. In a communist country, you can't do that. But here in America, we can have spirited and even more than spirited debates at times and still at the end of the day remain friends. I love that. That's a good point. Well, I'm sure you guys saw that comment from Ben here. Unfortunately, he has been banned from the channel. And if anybody else makes comments like that, they will be banned as well. The Suzuki Swift. Oh my goodness, I haven't thought about that in a long time. I knew a few people that had Suzuki Swifts and Suzuki Sidekicks back when we lived in New York. I remember at the bus stop, they were the hardest things to start on a cold winter's morning because the ones they had back then were carbureted. I remember this one guy at the end of the street getting there every morning, and for about 5 minutes straight, he'd be like, and it's amazing. I'm telling you, it took forever those things to get started. Flips May, I do believe the U.S. has way too much cultural diversity has become a problem. Well, I would never say diversity is a problem. Diversity is good, pretty much in all shapes, sizes, and forms. But it's hard because when you get too diverse, then you have so many different languages, and then that can get difficult. But the fact that pretty much everybody that comes here eventually will learn English, that definitely helps the situation. You know what? I'm really not an expert on that, but I don't know. I mean, there's good and bad when it comes to diversity, but for the most part, diversity can be a very good thing. Cameron Cloud, will we get a Christmas Day stream? That's definitely a possibility. Even though Christmas Day is supposed to be spent with the family, I might be able to do something towards the nighttime. Maybe even be able to do a Christmas morning vlog. That would be nice, or even a Christmas morning live stream. We'll have to figure that out. I'll have to see if mom and dad will be on board with that. Eric Brunhammer says, I had a Suzuki Swift with a Ford V8 in it. Wow, that must have been a fast little thing. Hooked to a Chevy transmission with Jeep axles under it. It was a Franken Swift. That had everything in it. I would have liked to have seen that. That would have been a cool thing. My monitor just went to sleep. I'm low level formatting some hard drives over there. That'll make me mad. I'm going to get him good. You know what? This time of year, we have to forgive and forget. People can get us mad. People can say stupid things. There are a lot of stupid people out in the world. Ben here. But at the end of the day, you just got to be the bigger person. You just ban them and pray for them. Stephen Barber, hey buddy, what's up? He says, I'm getting my Kirby. I bought one, cost 139, and today at work my Optiplex 3010 crashed. Uh-oh. Have to reload her from scratch. That's never fun. Yeah, it sounds like that 3010 has been giving you a lot of problems. Generally, the ones that I have, like the 3010s and 3020s, are pretty reliable systems, actually. But every once in a while, I mean, you can get computers that are weird like that. I remember UXW Bill had a Dell Dimension 8400, I think it was. They bought brand new that he said was problematic from the get go. It had these weird glitches, and he chalked it up to a failing motherboard, I guess you should say. He was never able. At the end, he was never able to pin down the problem. So I think he wound up replacing it. He actually, it was interesting. I think he bought one from the ham radio fest, and he basically just transferred the guts into that one to fix the problem. Deputy Daniel Quimby seems far away, but I am already saving. I'm currently 17 years old and seeking a college or university to go to here in the United States. There are a lot of good ones out there, but make sure you save your money. Try not to do a college loan. I know a few people that have gotten them, and man, they're having a hard time paying those things back. College is so expensive now. I want to become a politician. I'm planning my first large run in 2026 when I run for the House. Hopefully, I have enough to fund a decent amount of my campaign when we get there. You know what? That sounds great. I've had a lot of people in the past tell me I should have become a politician, but I said to them, you know what? It just really didn't interest me that much. There's too much conniving, too much lying, too much backstabbing in politics, and that's just not me. Daniel Maggio says it's very cold outside, so that is why a lot of people are getting sick. The cold can affect your body, especially if you have a weakened immune system. This time of year, get plenty of vitamin C, plenty of vitamin D. I actually bought this Jamaican hibiscus powder drink the other day that's full of vitamin C. Actually, one serving has your full daily value of vitamin C. So I've been trying to drink that every day. Might try to do a food review on that too. 23 watchers, 10 likes. Awesome. Wow. Let me see if I can get to all these comments. Kirby is a vacuum cleaner. Yes, I used to have several of them. They're really nice, very well made, but they're very, very heavy. If you're an older person or somebody who has a hard time pushing things around, a Kirby is definitely not the vacuum for you. They are solidly built. Let me just say that. Stephen Barber said I was cloning the hard drive back to the factory and it went south, sadly. Yeah, it's happened to me many, many times. Cameron Cloud, how do you tag people? I still can't figure it out. In Facebook, you just write their name in the post, and usually it'll come up there and let you tag it. In here, I'm not exactly sure. Flips May says, I would like to buy a vintage shortwave radio and see what I can pick up. Not a lot anymore, unfortunately. A lot of the shortwave stations, at least here in the United States, have gone. I mean, you might be able to get some of the ones from Europe, England, Germany. I remember the Zenith World radios. I always wanted one of those, but they were just always slightly out of my budget. Classic Mobile Home says, I like your new car. Thank you very much. And stay tuned for the full review on that coming shortly. I think I'm going to wait until I get the switches in for the headlight switches in, and then I'll probably do it once I install that and show you guys the installation process of that, which is actually very simple. It shouldn't take more than 5 or maybe 10 minutes. Robert Jones asks, Matt, what do you think of juicing? I have nothing against it. I don't do it myself because it just has a little too much sugar for my taste. I don't like things that are very sweet. Ever since I went on this lifestyle change, my sweet tooth has totally gone away. As a matter of fact, I can't even really eat things like milk chocolate, Hershey chocolate anymore. Nestle chocolate's even sweeter. It just doesn't sit well with me. And a lot of that also has to do with the fact that about 5 years ago, I had a bacterial infection that affected the taste buds in my mouth, specifically the ones that how can I say this? Detect sweetness, and they never fully came back. So sometimes sweetness to me tastes bitter. So I have to be very careful what I eat, especially when it comes to sweet things. I can taste things like real maple syrup, honey, real honey, agave syrup, but a lot of the fake sugary stuff just tastes bitter to me. As a matter of fact, in my coffee, I use sugar in the raw, pure cane sugar, and that's something I can really taste. Deputy Daniel Quimby said, I started my lifestyle change today, currently around 218 pounds and have a large sweet tooth. Yeah, that's a big problem. I've started intermittent fasting and had a pasta and veggie dinner along with a workout at my gym. Excellent, excellent. And at your age, intermittent fasting shouldn't be a problem at all. You're going to drop weight really, really quick. When you get closer to 40, like I am, well, 35, it's much harder to lose weight. So you're starting at a great time in your life. You can start now, and by the time you're in your 20s, you're down to your goal weight. You'll be golden. You know, you'll be really good as you get older. Daniel says 6K subs, impressive. Thank you. I'm hopefully gonna hit that 7K mark sooner than later. But with that, tubers, I'm gonna have to end this because I need to go finish filming that other video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Got some really good information. I know I'm not making these a full hour, but I'm just really tired and I need to get going. I'm sorry. Maybe a couple more questions, then we're going to end the stream. Nick says you clean the throttle body on the Buick. That Buick doesn't need anything. The previous owner did every single bit of maintenance that Buick needed. She is perfect, just ready to go. All right, tubers. And with that, we're ending the stream. Please continue to like and subscribe. Hope you guys have a great evening. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And George Blakely said it. Have a blessed evening, everybody.